to the third parallel dialogue in this series of conversations on what will Gropius do as center relator. My name is Begoña López Averasturi, and I am from Conexiones Improbables, the organization launching this cycle of conversations. So today, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did. Yeah, sorry. So today the conversation will revolve around culture, creativity, and innovation, and it will be our colleagues from Materahub and Sineglossa who will lead the conversation. From Materahub, we have Carlo Ferretti, Research and Innovation Officer at Consorzio of Materahub, and we have Federico Bomba, co-founder and art director at Sineglossa. So welcome, Carlo and Federico. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are really glad to be here, and I would like to thank to my today partner in crime. I would like to say, which is Federico, and I will of course thank to Conexiones Improbables that give us the possibility to have this moment of thinking and conversation of a topic that is really relevant for all of us. That is culture, creativity, and innovation. Before passing the ball to Roberto, I would like to introduce our guest. So we'll start with Barna. Hello, Barna. Barna is the director of Progressione, which is a Budapest-based artistic hub, which investigates the combination among interdisciplinary cultural-based practices. Ciao, Barna.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. So going on, we have Lorenzo Gerbi. Ciao, Lorenzo. Which is a curator of the Baltan Laboratories, which is a transdisciplinary studio which investigates the implication of the technology or technological society, I would like to say, through the crossroads of arts, design, science, and technology. Nice to have you on board.
Yeah, same. Thanks for the invitation.
Going on, we have Javier Figueroa. Hola, Javier. Javier is a cultural officer technician of the Puerto de la Cruz City Council. There, they are particularly investigate how cultural-based practice can activate the social inclusion activities and active citizenship and sustainable tourism. Nice to have you on board, Javier. I have you on mute. Javier, you are mute. So.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm in substitution of Marcelino Martin, and I'm a collaborator of him. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Nice to have you here with us. We will have the possibility to deepen what you are doing there, and finally we have Marcel Bechner. Hello, Marcel. We are really glad to hear Marcel is director of Xenorama. Xenorama is a new media art production. They investigate even here the intersection between new media, arts, technology, and science. Hello, Marcel.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
So we are going to deepen this conversation, the topic, but before to do that, I will pass the ball to Roberto. Thank you very much, Roberto.
Thanks, Carlo. Thanks, Begoña. Thanks, Federico. Good morning, everyone. I would like to greet you on behalf of Conexiones Improbables, hybridizing to innovate. It's our slogan, our claim. Partner of the New European Bauhaus and promoter of this cycle of conversations with the title that Begoña has said, what would Gropius do as center relator? Gropius, as you know, founder of the Bauhaus in 1819, was an architect and thought of architecture and building as the ultimate creative expressions. But if he were alive today, what would Gropius be? A maker, perhaps a community activist, perhaps a designer, a technologist, a relational artist. Today, we continue with another of the 7 conversations where promoting which we want to contribute to enrich the discussion on the European Bauhaus and how from different disciplines and perspectives an inclusive, sustainable and beautiful Europe can be built. But how does the European Bauhaus challenge us? Perhaps the answer to this question lies in reinforcing the transversality of culture and creativity with all social and productive activities, bringing new perspectives to our way of life, to the conception of our civic spaces and our homes, to our production and consumption systems, to our educational model, to our ways of relating internally and with outside world, and reinforcing our collective commitment to sustainability and the well-being of people. After all, the arts, culture, and creativity and thought must serve as based on values to generate a new idea of value in our daily lives and endow it with new shared meanings. Our societies are beginning to be aware of the urgency of sustainability, of the consequences of climate change, of the necessary energy transition, but they act, or we act, as if 2030, the date set for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, were still a long way off. They are very focused on digitalization and its technological impact in terms of efficiency, in production processes, but perhaps pay little attention to the ethical and human dimension of this accelerated digitalization. In addition, there is a third key, at least for us, a third key element in the transformation for our societies and economies, creativity, key to driving innovation. Sustainability, digitalization, and creativity must go hand in hand in the development processes in a coherent and cohesive manner. In recent years, mainly in the 5 or even 10 last years, there has been a lot of talk about the cultural and creative sectors in the old continent, in Europe. However, and despite the efforts of administrations, foundations, and other entities, as well as the sector itself, the context of crisis continues to hinder the desired qualitative leap necessary to become a thoroughly significant and transcendent sector of our societies and economies. It is still difficult to explain the different roles that culture plays in our society, beyond business or entertainment, to convey the need for culture and creativity in everyday life. In the configuration of a critical and self-critical society, open and democratic, with a taste for diversity, active and innovative. Then, how do we transform the European Bauhaus from an initiative into a social movement? What role do we really want culture and creativity to play in defining how we want to live? How do we make culture and creativity levers of social innovation? Understanding social innovation not as a field of innovation, but as a style of innovation that also affects productive innovation or scientific technological innovation. Sustainable innovation centered on people and nature, sustainable, deep-rooted, slow but radical. I would like to thank all participants for their commitment, and today, especially Carlo Ferretti and from Materahub and Federico Bomba from Sineglossa for leading and organizing this meeting on culture, creativity, and innovation. And of course, to the people who are following us on the stream. Carlo, Federico, it's your turn again. Thank you.
Roberto. So I would like to start, like, connecting with what Roberto was saying before. I would like to start, like, understanding what's the topic today. And when me and Federico, like, start thinking about that, we, of course, started from what Roberto told about the new European Bauhaus, or understanding what's the goal, in which direction we are going to. And I think that one perspective we can consider about the European Bauhaus is in some way that the attempt of collecting practices of social transformation that already are going on in Europe. And the guests that we have today are in some way the experience and the demonstration of these practices that are going on in Europe. Most of them through art, most of them through an interdisciplinary approach that use the art as a vehicle, as a really powerful engine to, in some way, like produce this social transformation. We know how difficult it is. We know how many times these practices and this transformation needs. And so it will be really interesting to deep with all of them through their experiences what this means. So we start with Federico from a question that was precisely in this huge conversation that the culture, creativity, and innovation that are really familiar to all of us, but we know how many perspectives can we have about that, and how all of you interpret and practice in different ways. So we decided to, in some way, give a frame, and this frame is a start from a question that is, how does art can get in action? This question was fundamental because in some way turn the approach. So turn the approach from having art as a producer of content, or only as a producer of content, to art as an approach, to art as a process that in some way can be useful to generate other processes and so impact in other field. So, like, quoting, let me quote this Nicolas Bourriot that everyone knows, that according to him, the role of the artwork is no longer to form imaginary and utopian realities, but is actually be the ways of transform and create action within the existing realm, whatever the scale chosen by the artist. So again, art as an approach to reality and to society. And in this field, we decided to frame a sentence or a word that is, art as regeneration. Art as regeneration have two fields of investigation. So one, the regeneration, that is the remedy to twist it to consequences of the current macrosystemic and microsystemic transformation. And the other is to generate new models and solutions. So in this field, we thought that the best way to investigate art as a regeneration was through the experiences of our guests into two applications, that is the spatial application and the human application. The spatial application relating to all that changing in the urban areas, but not only in the relation between individuals and their spaces, and the human, of course, in relation to tackle the social and societal issue. So I will be really, really glad to go into these experiences that will bring our guests today. I will give the floor to Federico that will drive us into this experience, and we'll have then the possibility to converse and then try to plug the pot. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo. and thank you, Conexiones Improbables, for making this possible, and the guests that accepted this invitation. We've just mainly a manly panel. We swear that we tried to invite some women, but at the end they didn't make it. So it was it's just an occasion that we are just men in this table, and we will take on account that during the discussion, because it will be important for me also thinking about that while we speak. So I will be the moderator of the talk today. I think the best thing for me would be to ask you at the beginning a round of an experience, a good, a best practice that you are working on, because everyone is dealing and leading cultural centers and cultural activities. So I would start asking you, let's say 8-10 minutes maximum, about one best practice that could be addressed also as with the pillars of the new European Bauhaus. So beautiful, sustainable, and together. If you can explain while you describe your practice also why what you are telling us could be considered also, and how you considered in that practice the role of the beautiful, sustainable, and together values. So I would start from Lorenzo Gerbi. He has already been introduced. He is the curator of the Baltan Labs. Lorenzo, please. I know that you might want to talk about Economia Festival, maybe.
Yeah. No, thanks for the invitation again, and yeah, nice to be here too. I hear some topics that are really very at the core also what we are doing. So yeah, just maybe to give a bit of a frame, Baltan Laboratories is this institution that is based in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven, and we work at the crossroad as an experimentation platform at the crossroad of science, art, technology, and design. And of course, the Bauhaus team, it's also very familiar to us. And I thought, yeah, what will be a new process between there is a lot about transdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and now we are in a transition moment in which we are exploring what indisciplinary could be. So what could be if we remove all the discipline and we create a temporary space where people are working together, just not from their disciplinary background, but just exploring them as people in a process, and now then maybe can help art also to take the role it deserves in activating, and not just to become sometimes, you know, a translation, a beautifying translation of a scientific process, but really be integrated in the thought process as peer in and not as one as a visualizer of the others, which is always the risk of this kind of collaboration. What I wanted to present today is one festival we have been busy with for a few years, which is called Economia Festival, which is a festival on economy without the economist, at least on stage, because we have economists on joining as participants. And the approach behind this festival is try to see how other disciplines like design, art, but also biology or science fiction, for example, can help us reclaim economy, talk about this big topic that sometimes we are afraid of because of its language, vocabulary, and so on. And specifically on the edition we just did last year, it was completely online, of course, because of COVID. The name of the subtitle of the edition was called the limited edition. And so limited, not because limited people could join, but because it was about the limit of the growth and of course of the economy, but also how we live in a planet in the end is limited, but of course the economic growth is expanding over and over. So the festival involved also, for a part of it, artists, and but not just artists. So it was really transdisciplinary in terms of people joining as a contribution. But basically what we were exploring is what kind of economic system can we come up with that is not worshipping unlimited growth, or which are the models that we can develop that are more in tune and sync with both the social and the planetary boundaries. And we did that to a series of talks, conferences, an academic conference, and exhibitions. And I don't know if I can share a screen. Maybe I can show you one in the exhibition, a few artworks that were relating more of to the topic.
Yes.
Let's see if I can do that. Yes, and I will just explain maybe and let you see a few of the artworks that we were presenting. And this artwork is Wither by Thijs Beersteker, and it's basically, as you see in the GIF here, is an artwork made a lot of leaves, and those leaves are made of this kind of I think plastic material in which in between you have a layer which is becoming grayer when activated by electricity. And basically the blinking of these leaves was connecting to a disappearing of 250 square meters of rainforest in Brazil. So it was really a way to relate with the problem, very sensory, you know, and I think art is also that kind of visualizing and make it present and make it sensorial and emotional, something that is maybe few thousands of kilometers away. So how to make it present. And another artwork was Viral Nature from Martina Taranto, which is basically a material very similar to concrete, but which is able to host life. So it's like 85% organic inside. So she was kind of reflecting on how nature in the end never becomes ruin, never become waste in its creation. So also in the way she was creating these pieces, they are really relating to the like capital or like architectural archetype. And to see that, of course, humanity left a lot of ruins, and but nature in the end doesn't, because everything decays, it transforms into something else. So she was trying to kind of replicate the same with a building material that at some point will kind of germinate and will be able to host life, and at some point disappearing and don't leave any kind of trace. And also another artwork about more traces. Of course, nowadays we talk a lot about Anthropocene. So Anthropocene being defined as the geologic era in which men leave some kind of geologic traces. And she was exploring what kind of traces humans are living, and what kind of some sort of future fossils can look like. And those are integrating into rocks, of course, materials like plastic or a microchip, and it's more like a future archaeologist that will kind of dig into the ground and will find these traces of the period that just we are populated. So it's also a way to, let's say, to speculate about the future with looking at the past. And I think that's really interesting, that art can also allow us to speculate both for a very close by future, but also some more far-stretched realities. So that's a bit what I wanted to present. Of course, there is much more, but I am also aware that there are a lot of other people talking. And but basically, this was the festival, which is still going on, and now we are creating a learning community, which is taking the insights, the learnings from this 1 year festival, because in the end it was 6 months, into a very dedicated trajectory that now we are hosting with people from all over Europe, in which we are looking in ways how to transform these insights that we developed through art, but also through other different disciplines, in something that we can activate into our daily life. So not something that becomes just a thought, but something that you can really make it yours, because then in the end, that's what we want to achieve with this festival. So reclaim economy and makes it something that we can talk about, but we can also act upon, because we are not apart from economy, but we are the economy in the end.
Lorenzo, I really appreciate the fact that there's a festival which is done by what is said, a cultural, hybrid cultural organization about economy, and this shows how culture can be transversal to many different sectors, and this is basically what the new European Bauhaus will do. So on the next round, we'll come back to the project, trying to understand what for in different contexts, for instance, in Eindhoven, in your area, your context, beautiful means, if you agree with Bourriot, for instance, or if we have other meanings of beautiful, because it seems that culture should bring beauty, but we'll see if that's really true. Then I'll go to Javier Figueroa, the Puerto de la Cruz City Council in Tenerife. Thank you for being here, Javier. We would really like to know what's going on in Tenerife, and if you are so kind to tell us about the project dealing with the human and urban regeneration and what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you all for the invitation. I want to excuse Marcelino Martin. He couldn't be here today. Well, my presentation, I'm not an artist, and my presentation will be more boring, but I think it will be interesting. Puerto de la Cruz is a municipality of an island in the Atlantic. We are a ultra-peripheric region of Europe. And we are a little territory. We have 8 square kilometers. We have 30,000 people, but we are very influenced by the tourism. Our flying population can be in some moments to 80,000 people. So we have an island vision. We are a little planet, and we are a territory for prototyping, for after make a scale. I will share my presentation. What we are doing is we are trying to build a cultural ecosystem based on expanded culture. As Lorenzo said, we like to think in culture as a dialogue between arts, science, and humanities, and taking in count the relationships people have with other people and with the environment. These two, knowledge and relationships, make forms and add to the identity. So we have heritage, and the design is a tool for connecting knowledge and relationship, using the knowledge to build better relationships. Our strategy, sorry, I have this scheme in Spanish. Our strategy is basically based in 3 main ideas. One is the creative culture. Another is the common intelligence, the participation, and the taking our visitors into the culture stream and the culture creation. With these 3 ideas, we have to build an ecosystem free and beyond our council. Not only is important for us the strategy and the politics, but all the movement, all the activity that is built over and beyond us. And we define our main objectives are the cultural development and the economic development. How this project connects with your project, with the project of New European Bauhaus. With a spatial regeneration, we like to think in three different spaces: physical spaces, as the spaces where the relationships and the people move, the digital space as a tool for communication and digital autonomy, the building of new knowledge and the learning processes are now in digital spaces and is not linked to a space and a time as we were common. And the ideas space, we think it's important too for ethic development and transfer values to people in a correct manner. We think on the memes, the idea of the ideas like a species. They grow and they try to take presence and be over others' ideas. And we think of it's an ecosystem by itself. And in the aspect of human regeneration, we like to think, we try to transfer the value of the culture to individuals, making them valuable, retaining and trying to the economic recovery. In other aspect is the values, trying to make cohesion and equality, and trying to make people brave for in order to participate and being critically. Sorry. This is in our work. This is a map of our projects. They are in some manner or another linked to what we said, but we like to take some projects that fit better to this New European Bauhaus project. One is Chimera. Is the final is to make a video game about nature, about species. Here in Puerto de la Cruz, we have a botanical garden of world interest. It has more than 115 species, and it was historically the point for transporting from South America to Europe the vast number of species. The video game is an excuse to make a multidisciplinary process based on participation and workshops with artists, people, but scientifics, botanicals, and the process is not finished, is still starting, and we are making we are designing the workshops. Another project is por la interculturalidad. It's a series of workshops that integrate immigrants, young immigrants with youth, local youth, with performative arts. It's finished, and it have been it addressed a conflict we have in the island. We are very near to Africa, and we have a lot of immigrants that lose their life in sea and at the sea, and it's we have problems of integration, and we address this problem with the arts. But these are some projects, but I want to focus in one project that is Puerto Street Art. Is an open-air museum that takes artists to let the free for in the city. They have assigned walls in the city, and they express after being some days in the city and in contact with the local hosts. They have freedom to express the identity or the ideas they have to connect people, their identity with the identity of the city, or as they want. You can see some walls painted, and there are another idea in this project that is in the city we have a lot of people have nicknames. The families have nicknames. You can see here a mouse, but there are families that the people say the mouses, and this is a part of their identity. And there are local artists that reflects this identity, and we have many artists in the street or in tourist installations that have been part of the urban environment. This is a growing project, but we want to take another step in with this project that we name XPSA. This is an extension of the open air museum to digitalize and to co-create with other artists. We plan in a first step to make a digital PSA, and consisting in digital artists, musicians, illustrators, 3D makers, to take the already made murals and take it to life with augmented reality, or making a catalog. The murals are ephemeral art, and we want to digitalize and make it a constant and have reference for this. What we want to do with this project is to open many ways of taking this art as a way of connecting the visitor with the local, and connecting different generations and making dialogues. So sorry?
Just 1 minute so that we can come back to the project, to the second round after the first round.
Okay, it's the last screen. This is the way we want to take. We want to use art and artists to communicate and to create value in the citizens. Okay, it's all.
Thank you very much, Javier. It's very interesting how a public administration could make all of this. And we'll come back to your stakeholders, I guess, and how many people you involved in this process as a city council. And then from the very peripheral areas of Europe, we go to Budapest. It's a big city in Europe, so a complete different context from what we've heard. So thank you, Barna Petrani, Director of Progressione, for being here with us.
Thank you very much. First, I have to make a little apology. The COVID situation has changed, so finally I'm on the road. So I had to stop in the middle. You will see trucks passing by, but I hope you hear me very well. A few words about Progressione and also a little bit myself. I would react on Lorenzo's presentation. I'm very sorry to say that I'm an economist by study. So I cannot be at your festival on stage. I'm very sorry.
We didn't have a stage this year because we are online. So
yeah, but I mean, online it will be also hard. However, I'm not working as an economist for a while. Yeah. And concerning the topic on disciplinaries, I started to use the word non-disciplinary, which is still an unused word, I think, and we have to focus more on non-disciplinary things, because what Progressione does, we focus on arts, but we try to approach the theme, not the disciplines. So whatever we start in culture heritage or in socially engaged art practices or recently also in environmental issues, it's always about the topic first and then to see how the discipline evolves. And we are started to little bit reshift also the way how we communicate with artists and how we describe the artists. So instead of I'm looking for a fine artist, usually what we say is that I'm looking for a framer, I'm looking for a storyteller, I'm looking for a narrative writer in whatever format. So it has changed quite a lot recently. Progressione does a lot of European projects on the international level. However, as an example now, I brought you, and I would try to share my screen, a very, very Budapest-based project. And this is called Szabi híd, and this is a closing of a bridge in the middle of the city center. And why I really like this project is, I mean, it fulfills the beautiful, I think you see, Budapest has a very, very beautiful location, and that's just in the middle. It's the Danube underneath the bridge. So it's almost a kilometer-long bridge, which we close every summer. And I think you also see that people are here really together. And why I also like the project is because it was super bottom-up approach. So how we all started, that the bridge was originally closed down because of reconstruction, and people started to take it as their own. So people started to show up, however, it was a constructional area. And that's what we started to elaborate and communicate with the municipality, that we have to rethink our public spaces. We have to rethink how we approach them. And what the municipalities usually do is that they focus on investment. They would like to change the space with infrastructural change. And what we are saying here is that we close the bridge for the weekends in the summer and we give it to the public, but we don't change the nature of the bridge. So all the infrastructure investment, what we do is the trash cans and something at the two ends of the bridge, and we stop the tram, but we don't really want to interfere in the urban, in the top-bottom way into the urban space. It's up to the people how to use them. And also a very important approach of the Liberty Bridge is that it's of course free for the community. And you might see that people are eating on the bridge, they are biking towards the bridge, they are having drinks, but we have no commercial usage on the bridge. So it's totally sad that there could be no kind of And what we in fact do is we try to organize the local communities to coming up with their own ideas. And here again, it's very non-disciplinary, so whatever could come. And I'm also very happy that I'm coming from an artistic background. So we do a lot of artistic projects, which are very much designed for the space. So people can come with any idea which fits nicely and reacts on the city, and that's we are in the middle of the city. The other thing is, which are coming, there is a lot of sports events, and that brings community of art lovers, sports lovers together. And not in 2020, we hadn't had the event in 2020 because of obvious reasons, but in 2019, we also had a Holy Mass. So I approached the church and I asked them, what if on one Sunday, instead of going into the church, they would come to the bridge and use it as a church? And they really loved the idea. It was fully packed. And that was, again, it's a very urbanistic, very much for the youngsters who are not really related to the church currently. And it was very nice way to mix these two communities and have a very different approach. Concerning the spatial aspects, what for us again is here very, very important is that it's not a decision by the city, but it is a decision by the community how we try to transform it. And it's also that we have shared. So we are sharing the space in the sense that this can be also used for traffic. So throughout the year, it's used for traffic, and we don't have to fully change or not have to start with fully changing. We hope that in the near future or in the midterm future, that will be a walking bridge. But now it's mostly for the traffic. It's temporary. So what we do is temporary and can adopt to our capacities, to the interest of the people. We can say it's more weekends, it's less weekends, it's 1 week, but it can really adapt to the interest of the locals. It's very, and it's very much a space making. So there is no real public space around, especially the center. So how people start to use its gifts for the city of Budapest and understanding how they should rethink their public spaces. What the people need? Why do they come to the Danube? It has a nice atmosphere. It has a nice climate. It's an open space, so you see others. So it makes also a sense in urban planning to keep that in mind. And then a little bit talking about the human aspect and on the social issues, which I already said that this is really a meeting place for the different communities. It's really a meeting place because there is no fee between the different social statuses. And that's also a good venue to bring together, used to be a good venue in 2019 to bring together tourists and locals, which is very much divided in the city. Budapest is also flooded with tourists, and there are the places in the urban city which is mostly for tourists. 90% people in the castle will be tourists, and then on the outskirts of Budapest you won't meet anybody from coming from abroad. And that's one of those unique spaces where these two communities can meet. And we try to bring such artistic events, which include theater, it includes circus, it includes, of course, a lot of music, it includes film screening, but they are also always bottom up. So there should be someone who says, I want to do something here. And that's also a very sustainable approach of ours, that we not ask money neither from the state too much. Like we have money for the infrastructure, we set up toilets and whatever, what you need to have it, and you have to have the ambulance car around, but we don't have funding for the artistic program. So artists are coming because they want to show their arts or they want to engage with the audience. And I have a very good example, which is the circus, or it's a circus school, and they come out every summer because they use it as a marketing tool and to get in touch with the community, to show what they have done throughout the year. And I think Sabiheat can be something which could be implemented in Budapest, in other places also, and to test. So also when the city thinks, reconsider the way how they design the future of the city, they should do it in that way, that they test it before, that they close it temporary, they rethink it, they bring out the necessary, very simple facilities for that. And if the community thinks that it works, and if they can react at it and they take use of it, then they should continue. It comes very nicely together with the idea of the new Bauhaus, because it means that we are not building new infrastructure. We are reusing the currently already existing infrastructure in a different way. It's also sustainable because we are combining what the city does usually is that they have infrastructure for a certain aim. It's transportation, it's a public park, it's a whatsoever. It's not depends on the different times of the year, the different interest of the people in the different circumstances. Yes, for example, when there was a COVID, you needed more public space to people to go out because they couldn't be close to each other. And in this way, it's a good example of how to use flexibly the public space, how to create places, what is the space making in the city together with the community. We always have this kind of, conversation with the community, but if it's not happening in a certain way, that you have the bridge and people can already go out only if you have kind of questionnaires, meetings, they don't see what they are talking about, then it is super hard. So we had much more responses because there was something happening. We could much easier get in touch with the people and ask them, what do you want? What do you think? How could it work most perfectly? So that was a little bit our reason also to work together stronger now with the municipality and give them the possibility to talk with the community. So that's what I wanted to show. And thank you very much for your interest. And I give the word back to you, Federico.
Thank you very much, Barna. That was really an European Bauhaus project. So we'll come back to it later. And now, last but not least, definitely, we have an artist and a media engineer, which is also a director of the Xenorama Center in Potsdam. It's Marcel Büchner. I hope the surname, I pronounced the surname correctly. And so, please, Marcel, could you tell us about a project, guys, an artistic project that you are developing in the media art? It's very interesting that we have in this table different stakeholders coming from the public administration, coming from the artistic side, and also coming from the cultural sector as programmers. So just to mix different experience. Thank you, Marcel, for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I will just follow up. I guess it's perfectly fitting also, which was talked before. I will shed a light on a project we had a couple of years ago, but I think it's really fitting into the framework we discussed also of the European Bauhaus, but also of the whole topic of renegotiate space in general. And it also is about questions which are totally discussed at the moment, especially here in Berlin, for example, with the rises of the rents, with the question who owns the city, how we use space and how we develop space, and how we deal with the gentrification which takes place, especially in all big cities in Europe. We had a project which is quite old, but it's maybe shed a light on how we deal with space from time to time, because we are working in very different places and frameworks. Okay, so this is a project we developed in Cologne in 2015, but we did this approach from time to time in different contexts with students, with in other places and other areas, in other contexts. So basically, this is a participatory project in public space where we did interviews with the inhabitants of the space and projected them in over-life size on the space again. We developed the narration on site, and we let them talk about the space, on the space, with the people watching it at the space, and trying to create reactions on these discussions, and try to give people also the opportunity to discuss their feelings about the space. it all was part of a City Leaks Festival, which is an urban art festival in Cologne. Mostly, it's also with new media approaches, but also always try to get in touch with through murals and to paintings in the city, and it was back in 2015. So so we took this place and we built up a little a little caravan with an interview station on the site, and did interviews there. And then we also developed, so we basically, let me check it in a moment if there's a short video. This is not working at the moment. Trying to load it again. So the whole project was discussed in the framework. There was a process going on, developed from the city side. It was called Mülheim 2020. And Mülheim is one district of Cologne, a very multicultural district. And it was a development from the city side to make this place a little bit more, they called it living friendly, but actually they wanted to implement new stores, new things of stores and other let me see if you see it here. So a city development which took place, and we asked the people who live there what they have, what kind of feeling they have about their district, about what's going on at the moment, how the situation is, and also what they wish for the future about this place. So now it's working perfect. So I will maybe put just the long show this. This one is 3 minutes. I guess it's with subtitles. Just oh no. Okay, it's without subtitles. So I just show it a little bit, and in the beginning, so different actors of the projection said a little bit of themselves and where they are coming from, how they deal with the space of this place. Turn it, maybe then I can also do it like this. Okay, so and so they discussed different stories they were confronted at the space or at this place, and this was a kind of also a development of a dialogue, because we had two different facades, and the projections were in kind of a collage. So we put different statements from different perspectives on the two facades and tried to make a collage, like a dialogue between the people, which actually never happened because we did the interviews one after another. But it was perfectly fitting that these different statements and the totally also different perspectives on this place and what the people are feeling, what their needs are, and why they, how they, want to see the future of the place. There are people saying that they are just staying at this place and begging for money. Other people are saying, okay, this is nice to to go and to a restaurant. Other people are saying, okay, they had a confrontation with police on this side. Other people are saying, okay, they are really afraid of that this multicultural district will more pushed more towards the edges of the city. Now it's in the city center, so it was totally different perspective on the same place. And this is also interesting that it's always like a negotiation about what a place is really needing and what the spirit of a place is really about, because it's really changing at the time, and also have to how you say it, have to be also needs that all the people can act like they want to act at the place. And this was like the discussion we tried to put onto this square, maybe to acquire the space again and to give it also more, when we said we had this term again in the last discussion or in the last reflection, and the more the discussion which comes from the bottom of from the people who are really living at the space, and not a political process which is such observing something from above and dealing with the structures as they deal with every structure in the city, and try to develop it in the same way in other place, like another place, because every place had its own spirit, its own. We always talk about the genius loci, the ghost or the spirit of a certain place, and this spirit is different from space to space. It is different from time to time. It is different, and depending on the people who are inhabiting the space and all the other entities which dealing with a certain space. And yeah, this was the project I would like to present for this new Bauhaus approach, and can now maybe give already back to Federico.
Thank you, Marcel. That was inspiring and definitely beautiful, sustainable, and together. We will talk a bit more maybe about sustainable to know which are the stakeholders that you involved. But at this point, I would really thank you, Barna, for sharing the video about Shabzid. And I encourage all the people that are attending the panel also to write some of the questions that they have, if they have any. What I'm quite interested in listening to all your projects, and also coming back to the word that Javier used with ecosystem. Ecosystem is a very important word for the European Bauhaus, and for creating a different stakeholder, for joining different stakeholders all together in the same project. I remember that some years ago, environment was not really something that we cared a lot about, or in all the projects, or in all the activities environment of our daily life too. Environment was taken care of, but now environment became a transversal issue, and everyone is taking care of. Culture is not yet at this point. So culture is not like environment, even if I think these are the two transversal, let's say, elements that should be involved in any kind of project. I would like to ask you two things now to all of you. So if we have another round, the first one is, how can we make culture? Okay, New European Bauhaus is giving us a chance for creating a transversal project about involving culture in every aspect. So how can we enforce that, and how can we make culture like environment? What's your opinion? Why environment became so important and transversal in every activity of human life. Even teenagers understood it, or especially teenagers understood our environment is important. How can we make culture like this? Yes, the same. And I would also like to ask you a question about the stakeholders you involved. Which are the most difficult one to involve in the ecosystem, in your opinion? I guess each of you has a different perspective about that. And maybe we can, yes, and if you have any strategy to involve all the peripheral stakeholders that are not still interested in your projects for becoming more and more sustainable and together. And I will also ask Roberto if you want, and also Carlo, if they want to join back the conversation about these topics. So I will just, I'm not calling you one by one, but I would like you to answer this question. Who wants to start?
Oh, I only want to say two things about the fantastic presentations, because yeah, congratulations on your contributions, really very exciting projects. The first one is about the chance that's the opportunity that is the new European Bauhaus, really, because it's perhaps we know that the European Bauhaus put the main focus in spaces, perhaps in architectural, in building aspects of spaces, not in human dimension of spaces, perhaps, but it's a chance. It's a very important chance, because it's perhaps the first time that from European administration they speak, they talk about the role of culture and creativity to transform Europe, to transform our way of life. And I want to put the focus in different aspects that our participants, our speakers have said. I think it's very important the balance between in two different spaces. Puerto de la Cruz, a small city in an island, and Budapest, a big city with a very attractive city for tourists, very different kind of tourists. But I know Puerto La Cruz, and I know that they are looking for a different relationship with visitors, and how to find the balance between tourism and cultural life in the city. It's very important how to balance as well the top-down processes with bottom-up processes. How to give the importance to reuse all the spaces, not to get new infrastructures. There are a lot of topics that you have put on the table, and I think that really very important. You know that we think about transdisciplinarity, of course, but it's not easy to get the real transdisciplinarity, how to pass from multidisciplinarity to transdisciplinarity, how to get new projects mixing really different disciplines, different point of views, how to mix the diversity in a real way, because I always say that everyone say that love diversity, but it's not true. We love diversity between people that is near, that is similar to us, and it's very important to to get to get that really European Bauhaus could be not only about spatial aspects, about human aspects in not only in spaces, but as well in different aspects of our life.
Yes, we were talking about like the big opportunity of the new European Bauhaus to work on the software and the hardware, we were saying last time. And this is, yes, what we can do. We can work on both this time, luckily, without doing separately. So Barna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very first, I think I haven't mentioned it, and I realized when Federico was struggling with this crazy Hungarian word. So Szabadhíd means Liberty Bridge. It's a bit easier, and that's also have a very nice context. And just to add that it is also very much in the visibility of Hungary. So I realized that they're using our pictures when presenting at the embassies all over the world. You know, they have these PPT slides, why to come to Hungary, and they always use our pictures. And then talk a little bit about stakeholders. For us, the hardest is, and I think in general, for example, the New Europe Bauhaus, that could be an issue, that we have a lot of interest in private companies, for-profit companies, that they want to come and support us, but they don't understand that if you want to work with the community, then you cannot put, you know, big telecoms posters all over the bridge, because then it's not the same project anymore. And then concerning the role of art, I think that it comes very nicely together with, for me, with the environment. That the art is supposed to be a little bit the leader of the society, of the change in the society. And I think that where we are lacking behind is exactly the environment. So everybody in the society is more and more concerned, more and more interested, artists especially, but there is still lack of artists really leading this change. And I think if the future, thanks to New Europe Bauhaus, and thanks to other projects and other initiatives, you can show that the art is in a leading, and the culture is in a leading position, working for the society in this aspect. So what kind of change we should do together, how to communicate it with each other, and how to design in which direction we step, then arts will have a bigger role and a bigger understanding in the society. So I would be very happy if we could use the environmental awareness also to make it a cultural and arts awareness also. Concerning the environment and our project a little bit, there is also a very nice form of it or understanding for me concerning the rivers as a very good examples. The rivers in the urban environment, which they have lost their relevance throughout the last 100 years when technology made us possible to transport water. So Budapest is next to the Danube because the Danube was there and the city was founded there, but the Danube doesn't have any more this role. I mean, we could live wherever. We can live in the middle of the desert. Technology-wise, we can solve it. And that gives for and still that's the biggest part of the nature within the city. And I think rivers can be a leading things to reconsider in the cities, and how nature comes back in the form of of rivers, and how we can reuse these waterfronts in our cities, because there is still, I mean, there are a few good examples in Paris, but in general, we are lacking very much behind on that. What is the tool of rivers? And then just one more concern concerning tourism and arts. I think we have been talking with a Danish partner. It's an island, and what they are struggling with, the tourists wants to go there because it's a beautiful site, and they spend 3 hours there. And what we considered as a possibility, that was a Voices of Culture talk around it, is to really trigger slow tourism. So let people come, but only if they stay. So if they stay for 3 days, if they come to Budapest, they have to stay in Budapest for a week, because then they will not just engage with the sites, but they will engage with the society, they will engage with the local community, and they will engage with the art and culture, you know, behind the most important and and very well-known sites, they will also see what is the living culture of the city. But for that, you need time, and there is a big interest in culture, so they would or in tourism, so they would come anyway. But I think we have to force them to stay and get in contact with the local environment, not just pass by as we used to do before the COVID. I mean, we went to Rome for 2 days and then we were back home again, or in the other city already. So I think that could be for tourism something very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And Marcel, please.
I want to follow up on a question I think, Federico, you put in, why environment matters. And I think one question or maybe just one answer I read recently was because matter matters. So we are more and more aware of the impact of the environment and all other actors, may it be, of course, the environmental needs, may it the animal needs, may it also the agency technology take place in our society. So we are dealing with a network of entanglement, a socio-cultural, natural, technological fabric, and we are just one part of it. So I think what we are seeing at the moment is that we are shifting towards an understanding that humans and non-humans have agency, so that we are aware that we are in one big fabric on this world, and we need to pay attention for every one of those actors. And I think the European Bauhaus could be one answer towards these questions, and could be one approach to implement those actors and their needs into our everyday, for example, architectural life, so that there is also space. For horizontal gardening and all these things we are sum up in these ideas, but also paying attention to all these stakeholders. And for me, this was maybe a question which arose out of the project I just showed up, because back in the days in 2015, what it was, we just interviewed, of course, the people who are lived into the city, and so we made the human condition. We are asking about the human condition. But maybe if we would do a project like this in 2021, 2002, we would also engage the questions which are right about through the other actors, through the environmental issues, about the animal issues, and also the technological issues we have. And that would be an interesting approach, I guess, for an artistic project, to make a discussion in an environmental also in an urban area, which are not only a discussion between humans, but also a discussion between all of the impact, all the actors which are playing a role in our social ecological fabric. That's just maybe one idea which raised up through your question. Thank you.
I would like to make one next step. I was thinking about like what you were saying, and even connecting with what Federico was saying before. And I think, in my perception, like thinking about art or culture as the environmental issue, or art or culture as an objective, is I think is always been difficult because it's immaterial. I mean, how we can approach culture in the same way I approach the environment. I mean, the environment, we have like physical results. It's what's going on right now with the problem, and it's in some way even easier to measure the impact I have on the environment than what I approach culture. and from your experiences, actually, are emerging, in my opinion, a really interesting thing that is like approaching nature or approaching environment from the art perspective. And someone, I think Lorenzo at the beginning told like the nature thinking. That was, I think it was really cool. You know, like in some way, in what I received from that term was like, you know, approaching, not just approaching the environmental issue or approaching the development in terms of a sustainable society that of course take care of nature through the arts, but having that approach of the nature, or that we can even shift to organic approach, even in the art. So my question to you is like I was thinking this moment is, I mean, is the environmental issue, or should we like challenge the environmental issue through the art, so that just with content, or is more an approach that we should take into consideration? I don't know if it's clear, my perspective. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Can I, yeah.
Sure, Lorenzo, please.
I think we are always distinguishing all these layers, you know, in our society. We talk about the environment, we talk about the culture, we talk about the economy. And this is a result of calling nature, nature. From the moment we decide nature is something, we became a part of it. So we are not including us in it. And that's really the issue in the end, because culture is the place you are raised. Culture is the land beneath your feet. It's not just something that is separated. And that's why sometimes I feel like just a European approach is not enough here, because we think we have all the solution. But actually, if you look at the indigenous knowledge, for example, all those divisions are not there. So culture is something arising from the place, and nature is something you are populating. It's not something a part of you. So I think there is a need of a shift that goes beyond European thinking, because that won't save us in the end. It's just when we put all these layers of society, these abstraction that we create for ourselves, because those are just abstractions, then we cannot deal with the environment, as it say. Because if you already see, for example, economy, ecology, ecosystem, no, already in the word eco, oikos from Greek, it's like the house. So the house is both the planet, is the house where you live in, and economy is the managing the house, ecology is the study of the house, and ecosystems is the system in your house. So I think we need to get a bit beyond this division and thinking that in the end, all the issues also we have nowadays, or the so-called WIP problem that becomes such a buzzword without no meaning anymore. But those are all interrelating all the aspects, economy, ecology, societal problem, political problem, geopolitical problem. Then we cannot think that the world is something that we can divide in block, analyze those blocks in different disciplines coming together. It's like the difference between Newtonian physics and quantum physics. So it's really in the relationship between those things that those things exist. So even if it's a talk about New European Bauhaus, I think we need also to go beyond that. Otherwise, we will just approach things very separate from each other, and the risk is like, yeah, I don't know, just thinking to address one problem, but not see all the others there piling up behind that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Lorenzo. Sorry, Carlo, you were speaking? No. Yeah, I was reading this morning actually an article which has just came out saying that nature is cultural, it's just an invention of culture, and this thing that we discovered even with Schopenhauer, with the noumenon, which is something which cannot be discovered while we can discover nature. I think nature can be noumenon if we don't interpret it inside our frame of experience. So yes, I agree that we have to stop to divide these words as they are like separate domains of our daily life, and culture can definitely help to have at least some new perspectives. It will be a very long way because we are used to something very different since the in the medieval period, there was not even the nature, there was just God. And then in the Renaissance, there was the nature separated with the human beings. So maybe now we are actually going in this post-anthropocenic world or attitude, hoping to discover new things. So Marcel, you raise your hand, please. Do you want to comment a bit on that?
Just a short mentioning, because it's really accurate what Lorenzo and you just mentioned, and I just want to maybe point out to a result which is really problematic in these when we have these entities we just have built by our thoughts, by our processes of thinking, because they maybe are not these entities beforehand, but we are making them through our analysis, through our scientific processes or our processes in general. But with these processes of dividing things from each other, there are always coming a problem, and this is the problem of values and hierarchies between these entities. And this is something maybe which is a result of these things you are just mentioning, and this is also maybe something we have to address, and only if we find a balance and not a hierarchy, then it's something which is sustainable in a way.
Thank you, Marcel. Yes,
sorry.
It's okay. Javier, I really liked what you said about the prototyping in peripheral areas. I really think that this is what happens, because in some peripheral areas you can risk more than in other places. And also, actually, Marina Abramovic used to say that she used to prototype and work and create and invent new things in the peripheral areas, and then going to Milan, to London, to New York to show and exhibit what she was doing. So I don't know if you want to react to what we were saying about the nature, or if you want to react about the topic of the stakeholder in public administration in Tenerife, in the city council, how difficult or how easy it is to not to create borders between, let's say, these are two different borders, nature and culture, and different stakeholders in their own bubbles.
Yeah, well, about the stakeholders, we have the same problem. I think that is in every tourist destination, and it's the economy and the old models of economy in the tourist sector. There are a conception in the tourist sector of transactions, and in the culture we talk about relations, and they are not compatible many times. It's difficult to dialogue with the tourist sector and make change in their mentalities. As Bernard said, people come for 6 days and we want to make relations, and maybe it's difficult in so short time. We have no time to make a transfer of knowledge, of identities, of communication, and we have no spaces. The tourist industry takes the people and make a circuit and have no opportunity of interact with locals. This is the main problem, I think, in our territory. About the prototyping, I think it's important to fail many times and find and look for solutions. And many times the solutions you build are not scalable. There is a need to rethink the solutions to localize or to adapt to other regions. And about the nature, I think as Lorenzo said, the separation of terms, when we say environment in this time, really we are saying the feeling of an end. We are feeling the end of our world or of our relation, and the culture and the artists have helped to, they did their work and have helped to grow this feeling. And I think the conception, the actual conception of the environmental issues are thanks to the artists, not only the scientific community, but I think it's important to make grow this dialogue, science, arts, and humanities. Each one has its role. The humanities, the philosophers, the psychologists, they have a way of thinking that propose the ethical ways. The artists have the power of proposing paradigms, different paradigms, and the science has the potential of knowing the truth. And I think it's a dialogue in which each role is important and is, as Roberto always say, the hybridation, and hybridations has from the hybridation grows the solutions. I think it's important too that the art is the only tool the humans have to copy and paste feelings. And for communication, it's essential. And I think the importance of culture and specifically the arts is crucial in this way of communication and construction and storytelling with ethics and with values.
Thank you, Javier. Now I really want to come to Porto de la Cruz to know what you're doing there, because it's not easy to find some city council that is working in this way. And I can say that also respect to big cities. I don't know if Varna, for instance, the same dialogues with the city council of Budapest.
You all are invited.
Thank you very much, Javier. Roberto?
Yeah, perhaps the environmental sustainability, social sustainability, economy sustainability, and cultural sustainability in general is the most important problem that we have now in the world. And I think that for arts, culture, and creative sector, we must work really in a deep way to build social awareness about this, about the need to change in the same way that that Lorenzo has talked, to change business and economic models, to change, of course, social models, to change a lot. And it needs innovation, because innovation is applied creativity that generate value. And what kind of innovation we want to get? Of course, I think that we need innovation with focus in sustainability. But then, in the same way that when we talk about innovation, when we talk about sustainability, we need innovation and sustainability in the arts and in culture, for the arts and for culture, from the arts and from culture, and with the arts and with culture. Because now, and perhaps in the European Bauhaus framework as well, a lot of people are talking about the importance of arts, culture, and creativity as a tool, but looking how we can improve other disciplines. But I think that they don't think that we are serious disciplines, really. I think that they think that there is an opportunity, that there is an intuition that from arts, from culture, from creativity, from thought, could be a way to improve the problems that industry have, that urbanism have, that a lot of disciplines has. But I'm not sure that they are thinking that really we can transform from the arts, from culture and creativity. Sometimes I think that they are thinking about our sector as a sector where they can put their technology, their points of view, and we are the cream on the cake, over the cake, no, in the middle of the cake. We are the cream over the cake. And I think it's a great opportunity if really from cultural sector we take the role to build awareness about sustainability. I think that then we can be really a key sector.
Definitely we can, and we will show it in the next years. Carlo, do you want to take back some conclusions, some questions?
Yeah, I was trying to like sort in my mind to connect the points, and I was thinking that like it was like during this conference, it was this panelist that say, well, the people will not go in the street for manifest for culture. It never happens actually, or for arts, it never happens. But yeah, connecting with what Federico was saying before, and I don't know if we really need it. And Lorenzo give me an assist again, mentioning the oikos, and because like there was like my professor during my master thesis, which is Adio Klammer, has wrote this book, which is Doing the Right Thing, and it's all like the oikos was the, like as Lorenzo said, was the house. And so what in his opinion, was what really matters. That book was for advocating culture and the embodiedness of culture. So arriving to the point that culture, everything is culture. I know that it is like a dangerous conversation, because if everything is culture, maybe nothing is culture, or it's, you know, difficult to frame how to deal with it. But at the same time, I think it's really powerful, because it's another perspective that most of you, all of you, through your experiences, like actually demonstrate. And I was really, I mean, this conversation, I think, is really, really connected with what you say about the no disciplinary. So it's not a matter of, you know, thinking about art and culture as a process, or it's not a matter of dividing disciplines in order to tackle them or to tackle problems with some tools. It's much more thinking about the entire, and as we are human and we need to simplify the things, because we need to add support in doing it. But at the same time, I think arts and culture really can give us the possibility to make a next step and see the complexity of the things. And this is the really, really important thing. Because see the complexity, we need to tackle really complex situation, and environment is one of this. And coming back again to the oikos, I think, like, thinking about the embedness of culture and thinking about approaching the complexity really needs to understand about arts and culture in generating value for our communities and for our house, that is the planet. So I feel comfortable in thinking about arts and culture in order to tackle what's going on with environmental issue, because it's a really, really important thing at the moment, that in some way comprehend all the things. That is our goal for the next years, not only here in Europe. And so I'm really confident that we as an organization, with our project and with this approach, that I will really, really thank you for giving us this contribution, because it's really, really interesting and always useful to have this kind of perspective. I think that all together with all your work, we will be really able to bring these new approaches and give our contribution to take this complexity. So thank you to our guests, and thank you to Federico, of course. Thank you to Conexiones Improbables that really give us this possibility today to tackle Begonia.
Yes, thank you. Just a few words. Thank you for all of the interventions and experiences of professionals as all of you. Thank you also for sharing your knowledge and different points of view. In yesterday's and the day before of yesterday meeting, I made a brief final reflection, but I think today, I think that everything is said. As we were only a few of us, we have shared an interesting and rich dialogue. So yes, I just want to say thank you. I won't say anything else. And just I want to remember that tomorrow we are holding the fourth parallel dialogue, and we will talk about cultural for all places and territorial cohesion, led by Spatial Foresight from Luxembourg. Actually, as you may know, we are holding a conversation all the days of the week until the 15th of May. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, so I think you can see there our calendar. So you are invited to attend all these meetings. You have all the links to the streaming on our website and on our social media. And we are using the hashtags Gropius 2021 and the New European Bauhaus. So you can tag us in everything you want to. And by the way, also remember that we are having our final conversation or final reflection on the 22nd of June even the active participants of this group will be Carlo and Federico. You are all invited to attend, so I hope we can see you then. And once again, thank you everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Oh.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.